Hey class, welcome back to science. I'm excited to jump back into weather and climate with you. I hope you enjoyed the first lesson and were able to get done all of the checkpoints in the apply science. If you haven't done that, please go back and do that. I think I have set the modules so that you have to do things in sequential order, from top to bottom so that you stay on track. And you're welcome to obviously work ahead, but please be doing your best and taking your time with each assignment. I can tell if you are copy and pasting something or if you're obviously just making something up or not fulfilling the assignment properly. So please do your best. That way you can start to work on your critical thinking skills and to really gather all the information that we want you to be learning this year to help you in your future years at school and in life. Okay, so we're going to jump into our second section. We talked about last time. Last time was a little bit longer of a lesson. We talked about the weather, the main properties and factors of weather. We talked about weather in the water cycle. We talked about weather in air, and then we also talked about severe weather. And so we're going to jump into this section of how is weather measured and predicted using especially those factors, those properties. Remember, 4 out of the 6 weather factors, 4 of them are properties or characteristics, things that can be measured. So I'm assuming, and we'll learn how we use those 4 factors that can be measured to predict and measure weather. Okay? All right, so let's make a connection. Wind vanes are mounted on rooftops where they can rotate freely in the wind. A wind vane points in the direction the wind is blowing from. Describe another weather instrument you have seen or known about. The first one that comes to mind, I'll share it in a second. I'll give you a second to think about what comes to your mind, something that can measure weather, and then you can put that down in the comments below. It'd be awesome to see what came to your mind. I think about one of those little thermometers, right, that used to be on the outside of homes where it would measure how warm or cold it was outside. Hey, look. Thermometer is the first one we might cover. Okay, so predicting weather. Remember that you have these checkpoints to answer for each section, and at the end of the section there's apply science concept for you to kind of apply the things that we've talked about during that section. So those are your assignments. Make sure you've also done the vocabulary word for weather and climate as well. Okay, so let's start reading. Follow along. Remember, if you need to take a pause from this, if you need a little break, remember, just pause the video, stretch, move around, grab some water, get hydrated, get a snack, refuel, and then come back and finish, okay? I want you to stay focused so that you can be successful with your assignments and then also with the unit assessment at the end of this book that we're covering. All right, predicting weather. People cannot control the weather, but we can prepare for coming weather with the help of meteorologists or weather scientists. So meteorologists are those that study and predict weather. Meteorologists continually gather data on the different weather factors: air temperature, humidity, air pressure, wind speed and direction, cloud cover, and precipitation. They use this information and their knowledge of weather patterns to develop forecasts or predictions about coming weather. The more information meteorologists collect, the more accurate their predictions will be. They gather certain kinds of data at weather stations on the ground. These stations contain a variety of instruments for measuring weather. The National Weather Service continually observes weather conditions at thousands of ground stations in the United States. So they're placed all over to help gather the most information so that they can make the most accurate prediction or forecast of the weather. That helps us as people and the United States prepare for maybe some of that severe weather that we read about last time. Meteorologists use weather balloons, radar, and satellites to gather information about conditions above Earth's surface. Instruments attached to weather balloons collect and transmit data about conditions such as wind speed, high in the atmosphere. Weather radar sends out radio signals that reflect back from clouds and precipitation. The signals help scientists measure the location and movement of storms. Weather satellites orbit Earth, recording information and creating photograph-like images of large areas of our planet. Scientists use satellite images to track hurricanes and other storm systems. Okay, so let's look at this picture. This looks like a meteorologist. It says, the caption says, collect data from many sources and analyze information in order to develop weather forecasts. And this looks like a picture from a weather radar, right? So these weather radar allow computers to create pictures of precipitation. Drizzle is in blue, while the heaviest downpours are in red. So not very much rain, a little bit more rain. The yellow, a lot of rain. Orange, even more rain. And then the heaviest of rain is in red. Then look at these. Here are some weather instruments. A thermometer measures air temperature in degrees. An anemometer measures wind speed in kilometers or miles per hour. So it spins and gathers how fast the wind is going. A barometer measures air pressure in units called millibars or inches. And a rain gauge measures rainfall in centimeters or inches. Okay, so let's learn a little bit more about these weather instruments. Meteorologists use different weather instruments to measure different weather conditions. Air temperature is measured with a thermometer, an instrument with a liquid-filled tube. The colored liquid expands and rises inside the tube when it gets warmer. The numbers on the thermometer are a scale that indicates the air temperature in degrees. Many thermometers have two scales and measure temperature in both degrees Fahrenheit and degrees Celsius. I'm used to Fahrenheit, but maybe some of you guys are used to Celsius. Wind speed is measured using an anemometer, an instrument with small cups that spin in the wind. The anemometer counts the number of spins in a certain time, and a dial then gives the wind speed. Wind vanes and wind socks are weather tools that show wind direction. Air pressure is measured with a barometer. A spring inside the barometer case squeezes or relaxes as air pressure increases or decreases, moving the needle on the dial. A falling or rising barometer reading usually means changing weather conditions. And the air pressure, if the air pressure remains steady, then the weather will probably stay the same. Rainfall can be measured by collecting rain in a rain gauge. Rain falls into a transparent container, and markings on the container indicate the amount of rainfall. Snowfall is measured with a ruler. Humidity is measured with a weather instrument called a hygrometer. All right, and then here's your checkpoint. Remember to do that. And again, make sure you expound on your answers. So right here, it says thermometers, barometers, anemometers are weather instruments. What does each measure? So you have to talk about what each of those measure, okay? Air masses and fronts. Predicting the weather requires an understanding of moving air masses. An air mass is a huge body of air with similar air temperature and humidity throughout. The conditions in an air mass are determined by the area over which it develops. A cold, dry air mass may form over a polar region. A warm, moist air mass may form over ocean water near the equator. Okay, so let's pause and look at this picture to help us understand what we just read. Let's first read the caption. An air mass takes on the characteristics of the area which it develops. These characteristics affect the kind of weather the air mass brings. Okay, so this cold, dry air mass coming from the north over a cold area, and this warm, moist air mass coming from the warm, moist area traveling north. Okay, so once formed, air masses are moved over Earth's surface by prevailing winds because moving air masses bring weather with them. They are carefully tracked by meteorologists. Across the United States, prevailing westerly winds generally move air masses from west to east, so our weather usually moves in that direction too. Weather changes usually occur along boundaries where warm and cold air masses meet, called fronts. A cold front develops when a cold air mass moves into a warm air mass. Cold air pushes under the warm air, forcing it upward. Cold fronts often bring brief, strong storms by cooler, drier weather. A warm front develops when a warm air mass moves into a cold air mass. Warm air slides up over the cold air, warm fronts tend to bring steady light precipitation followed by warmer, more humid weather. Sometimes air masses meet and stop moving, forming a stationary front. This can cause precipitation that lasts for several days. So let's reiterate what we just read. When a cold air mass moves in under a warm air mass, so cold air coming in under warm air, a cold front develops. So this is a cold front. Heavy rain and thunderstorms may result as warm air is rapidly forced upward. Okay? And then when a warm mass moves up over a cold air mass, a warm front develops. The cold air is pushed back as the warm air slides forward. Weather maps. In order to make accurate weather forecasts, meteorologists track the location and movement of air masses and fronts. They also compile data on weather conditions over a large region. To display and share all this information, meteorologists often create weather maps, such as the ones seen on TV and the internet. A weather map uses numbers, colors, lines, and symbols to show the current or predicted weather in the area. And we've talked about how to read maps, and a big part of it is reading the key. And so right here we can see that this weather map provides a key to help us understand, oh, this is a cold front right here. Okay, and we have these H for high pressure area and L for low pressure area. And then we have this symbol, this line with these red half circles, mean this is a warm front, warm air pushing in. This is talking about the different things of the key, right? So this last paragraph, a weather map may also display air temperature, humidity, air pressure, wind speed, cloud cover, and precipitation, the 6 main weather factors. Weather maps allow scientists to easily communicate a lot of information. This information helps people make plans and prepare for the weather. And then here's your checkpoint. What is the purpose of a weather map? So these few paragraphs will help you answer that. And maybe you can watch the local news or watch the news and check out the weather section that they provide and see if you can understand what the meteorologists are saying. And then here's your apply science concept. Make sure you do that. And that is it for today. Nice, short, and sweet. I know the long one. So I know the first one was a little bit long, but this one was a little bit shorter. So hopefully that kind of balances things out. Make sure, again, you do your checkpoints and your apply science. And again, just make sure you're doing your best on each assignment. And I'm sure you'll do great. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. And I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Have a good day.